Jake, great to see you, man. Welcome to Pop Alternative.
Uh, Nice to see you as well. Thanks so much for having me, Pete.
No, of course. I really love this movie. You did such an amazing job with this movie. I mean, I kind of want to know though, like with a movie that has so many kind of things going on, theme wise, genre wise, relationship wise, what kind of stands out to you specifically when you're reading the script for something like Lemonade Blessing? Is the coming of age the main thing that comes to mind?
The coming of age, I mean, I get drawn to it naturally
Yeah.
because I have come of age. No, that doesn't make sense. But
Yeah. No, I see what you're
immediately
saying.
when my agent sent me the script, there was I as soon as I finished reading it, I knew that there was something like special about it.
Yeah.
You know,
Hmm.
like maybe it was just like the little subtler things,
Yeah.
just like the details, I suppose. Just
Yeah.
like yeah, I don't know.
No, absolutely. What would you say about from an acting storyteller perspective? Like, it's interesting, right? Because a lot of these characters, including your character, are figuring things out. They're lost because it's coming of age, right? Slice of life and everything. And it's like, from an acting storyteller perspective, like playing these characters that are lost and doing self reflection, what do you think about that? Like, is it more challenging? Is it more fun from an acting perspective? Because from the viewer perspective, they don't know they're lost, which I find is really interesting.
Yeah, it's definitely pretty fun because again, we've all been there.
Yep.
So, yeah, I don't know. It's yeah. Sorry.
No, absolutely. I did kind of want to ask too because you and Miles have incredible like on-screen chem. Like I love the scenes of you and Miles in this. Like they're so good. And I kind of wanted to know because there's some funny scenes and there's some not so funny scenes, more intense scenes. So was there any like chat with the director or with Miles about that kind of change with some of those scenes?
We had a rehearsal for like a day or two, just sort of discussing everything about those, like every scene that we've had together.
Yep.
And yeah, first of all, Miles is just wonderful. He's
Yep.
great. And I think it's sort of like in the entire film where you have like it's like two sides of the same coin. You have like this one really funny scene that's going to jump cut into something like pretty, I don't want to say depressing, but it is a little bit more serious, I
Yeah.
suppose.
Yeah, absolutely. It's interesting because that was one thing I kind of took from the film too is, obviously focuses on the relationship and kind of the relationship with, this new girl at his new school, but it's his relationship with Faith and everything. But I really loved, his, friendship with Angelo. I think that was something that really kind of stood out. It's interesting, right? Because it's like there's so much going on in the script, but the fact that like that kind of was a standout for me. I feel like that's a testament to you guys. Like you guys did a great job. You know what I mean?
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting, right, to think about. Like I feel like a movie like this is just packed, right? So what is that like for you? That script to screen journey, like getting all these breakdowns, seeing what's happening with your character, and then actually going in production and filming it. Like what's that like for you?
For something is, I guess it was pretty dense. The script was full of like these little, like detail-oriented things.
Yeah,
A lot of prep time was needed just to get into it, or just to prepare adequately because we only had 20 shoot days,
yes,
and it would have been like kind of a pain to go over that. So we had to really make sure that everything, like every page was in tip-top shape.
absolutely.
Every day I would read the script and I would do my character, I'd do everyone else's characters, just like probably two or three times a day. I would do it like morning, afternoon, and like maybe once or twice at night.
Hmm.
So at that point I felt pretty confident,
Hmm. A
except for
hundred
maybe
percent.
like one or two scenes. Yeah.
100%. No, there's a lot of different scenes as well in this that I feel like I feel like the movie knows like I feel like it's a genre like there's a lot of genres in this movie and I feel like especially at the end of the movie I don't want to give spoilers away but it's like it definitely takes kind of like a very kind of dramatic turn at times, you know what I mean? And I think
Yes.
yeah, and it's kind of like you're watching it and you really really are stimulated. So that's my next question I guess is like, are you ever conscious of the audience member, like watching Lemonade Blessing, like while you're making it? Or is that like, given like that it is something that has a lot of scenes in it that makes the audience go like, whoa, like I didn't see that coming. Like, do you ever think about the audience while you're in production for something, or does that happen a little bit more after you wrap?
It happens a little bit more after we wrap, I'd say, but there are maybe like one or two moments in the film after we shot where it's like, oh my God, Chris, this is gonna hit, you know?
Yes.
Yeah.
That I'm so happy you say that, because every time Jake, you're keeping that question alive, because that's the root of the question. You know what I mean? Because I know actors have to be present. I get that. You know what I mean? They're in the zone. And naturally, when you're in the zone, you're just not thinking of anything else. You're thinking of the performance and the character. But that's the root of the question. Like, you rap, you go to lunch, but like, wow, this is gonna resonate with audiences. You know what I mean? So I'm so happy you said that. Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Chris has said, I mean, during the scene, Chris would say that, Harrison would say that, like everybody said, like they're gonna love this. It's
Yeah,
something like that.
absolutely. I guess my filmmaker hat has this on when I ask this question as well. But it's like, we see a few scenes, you know, with you in the school, and it's, you know, 2 minute runtime scene, and it goes to the next scene. And it's like, I know that there's a chance that that scene might have taken like a day or two to film, even though we just see 2 minutes. When that happens, right? Do those big scenes feel like their own mini movie or mini project, or do they feel like an overall part of the big project?
Um, I mean, on some days it feels like its own little adventure, but it's important to remember like everything that like is part of a greater whole
Yeah.
because most of the time whenever there would be times when I would ask Chris like to get me in the zone, like to get me specifically into the mindset because he knows everything about this movie inside and out.
Yeah.
So like it was loosely based on true events. So like he's the guy to go to whenever I would have not trouble, but just like whenever I had a question about anything. So
Yeah.
whenever just for some of the more intense scenes as well, I would ask him to like put me into the mindset of what's been going on,
Yeah.
and- which is always nice. He's sort of like a therapist talking you into a panic attack. So
It's an interesting way of putting it. Yeah. Absolutely. It's all storytelling at the end of the day. But I'm just curious, like, how separate are like different worlds, different characters you've played in the past, Jake, but it's like, how separate are past journeys or past projects compared to something like Lemonade Blessing? Like, do you bring kind of ideas, mindsets from eighth grade or Chad to something like this? Or are they completely separate once you wrap them?
um we did quite a bit of improv on eighth grade and both Chad.
Hmm.
So there's always going to be like the more I do it, the more I feel more comfortable doing it.
Hmm.
So I always like to I don't know, I always like to think back on it like what would I do if I was in this situation?
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know, like it helps me like looking back on past experiences, I think it did help me think quicker on my feet, which is
Hmm.
always nice.
Gabe from eighth grade, what a character, man. I mean, I feel like you can't predict the impact of that scene of that character, like when you're making it, right? Like you can't really think about those things, right? I feel like they just happen. Like, did you know there was something kind of special with that character in that film, eighth grade, or like I'm just curious. Like, you can't really predict things like that, like the impact of that scene.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
I had no idea at all. I was only there for like 5 days, but it was a fun set. This was also a very fun set as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Was that, you said improv, but that was like that was mostly scripted though, right? That scene with like like with the like the at Gabe's house and everything with the chicken nuggets, that was mostly
Um,
scripted, right?
Initially, not quite,
Okay.
because we would do a few takes where we would just talk about anything and nothing at the same time. And
Okay.
then whatever would stick, Bo would just whisper in our ear, okay, just do Rick and Morty's a hit, keep that in, yada yada yada, and it would be and that's the final scene.
Interesting. No, it's that was no, that was a great scene as well. Um I'm wondering if, you know, you look at a lot of those projects that you've worked on, and a lot of those projects, this one specifically, I'm just wondering what the like what's it like when you wrap a project? I feel like it depends, because you said eighth grade was 5 days. This one, it's like you're in the movie. You're like in almost like you're in like every scene. You know what I mean? But it's like, is it a combination of like wow, this was great, I need a break? Or is it kind of like, oh, let's go to the next project? Like, what's that like when you wrap Lemonade Blessing?
Um, for Lemonade Blessing, I definitely gave like a lot into
Mhm.
the well, I tried to give as much as I tried my best. I gave a lot into my performance in this movie. So for this one, I think I did need like a couple weeks break.
Yep,
Like
absolutely.
it was just pretty draining. It didn't hit me until like the day after how exhausted I was.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's when you're finishing a project, it's always nice. It's sort of like leaves a hole inside of you in a way.
Yep.
And like
Absolutely.
the only way to fill it is to fill it with more experiences, more projects.
Jake, you are great in this film and you are very good at what you do, Jake. You are an incredible storyteller. So congratulations, man.
Thank you so much, Pete.
Lemonade Blessing world premiere at Tribeca this week, which is going to be really, really exciting. Jake, so great chatting with you, man. Thank you again for your time. Congratulations.
Thanks so much for having me as well.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.